There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what is not true. The other is to refuse to accept what is true. Søren Kierkegaard. Hello everybody, how's everybody doing? So I think tonight I'll do something that's a little bit different, and it's kind of the same, and just talk about everything up to this point that I know of, and that I can I guess act upon, right? And do actually, but also just provide insight to what I've got. And before I go, let me do my usual intro. All right, so Søren Kierkegaard, quote of the day. I'm actually going to do some more quotes of Søren Kierkegaard. Pretty good stuff, and it relates to the video, which is why I like doing these quote of the days. Donations, it's been over 19 months since I've received any cryptocurrency donations. I'd like to have one, even if it's little. You can always check the blockchain explorers to see if there's been any transactions. The only transactions is me getting money out of Patreon, giving it to Susie Dawson, all of it when she needed it, and Vertcoin, I've had 0. But you can donate via Google Super Chat. You can donate via PayPal.me. I've had PayPal.me up since September 22nd, 2019. If you don't have any money to donate, you can approve Globe Earth and get $15,000 from Zen Garcia, and maybe donate to me a 10% finder's fee. It should be pretty easy, right? Now also, let's see. First video of the month, I'll disclose the amount of the donations I received for the previous month and all donations in total. And join Flat Earth People Find at zoomtruth.com. Get involved. Don't get involved like me. I haven't really been doing much. You can always join in on my sessions. The Zoom link is in the description box on YouTube and on Steam, as well as where else? Well, if you need it, you can just ask me for it. Now just go ahead and paste it in the chat. You can even call in. It's toll free. So everything I have, I do. It's free. It's 100% free. You don't get any special. I don't know if you have like a membership or something. You don't get like a special videos, exclusives, or whatnot. No, that's stupid. Okay, so guess it's just you and I, whoever you are. Here we go. All right. Oh, we should go over some quotes. I'll go over some quotes later. All right. So what I have found as something interesting is, in searching for the truth, this is why I call it closer to source. And whether you want to become closer to God or the highest of the high, whatever you want to call the source of everything that came to be, whatever. I mean, even in a lot of mythologies and religions, they allude to it, and all of that is based upon the truth. I mean, you can't get to it with lies, right? You can't go anywhere, get anywhere with lies. Like, I'm going north when you know you're going south. You know, you're not gonna get to where you're going by lying, not just lying to someone else or being lied to, but even most importantly, lying to yourself, really, or lying to others. You know, either way, any lie, you're not gonna get anywhere. Hi, Kathy. How's it going? So, getting closer to the truth getting closer to source is getting closer to the truth. I mean, just think of it in journalism. Just you could apply it to everywhere, and this is what's so great about the truth, is when you realize that, and this applies to connections. When you realize that no matter what you do, that there's one fundamental concept that applies to everything, that is the truth. There's something that can be applied to everything that you do. That's a concept. And it's just weird that it works out that way. Searching for the truth is the same thing. When you search for the truth, you want to get to the source. The source is basically everything that happened. It's like a moment in your life when you actually did something. People want to know, did you do it or did you not do it? It's etc. You know what detectives do, what journalists do, whatever. And what all they got are maybe like a eyewitness, witness that they talked to, and it's like, well, I didn't get a clear picture of the guy. I think he was like 6'7" and 230 pounds. I saw this, I saw that. You know, it's nowhere close to being accurate. And the next thing you know, oh, we actually have cameras. So you look at the cameras and it's blurry and it's dark, and you know, some key scenes, there's stuff in the way, so you can't quite see it. But whatever you try to do, you just want to get closer to the source. And the more that there are lies in the way, well, you're not going to know what happened. So, and same thing when a journalist or something says, hey, I've got a source over here and told me this. Well, you can't just, and you can't reveal the source to protect a source. So that source could be anybody, and they could be lying. You wouldn't know. So you have to validate and verify what the person is saying is true. But how do you do that? Maybe there's another person that was an eyewitness or something that makes sense. Or there's a little piece of evidence that they can share, and it might add up with further investigations or things like that. So no matter what, the source and validating the source and all of that is important. The truth is important to get there. Connections, I mean, all of it can apply to pretty much anything. If you think about getting to source, just basically getting closer to the core of what's going on, of what things are, it's almost as if it's going towards the center of something, right? Now, this, when you think about it that way, if we think about of trying to figure out what's going on and getting closer to the source as far as individuals, as whatever meat bags we are, you know, that's not going to be external, it's going to be internal. And what's funny is that everything that we have experienced and are experiencing, and what people have experienced within history, they've went on the same path, but as far as the system goes, it's always been reversed. Whenever you talk about systems of control, the systems of control being government, religion, money, anything materialistic, just even information and history and things like that, that's all been controlled. Anything that has control, which is basically a one-way street. So control system, you cannot change the control system. Control system is there to control you. No matter what you try to do, what anyone tries to do, it cannot change, whether it's just implemented a year, a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade, a century, a millennia, however long it's been. And we can see throughout the control system's version of history that this has always been the case. And no matter what, the control system, it's not there to change. You can't argue with it. It tells you what to do. You either do it or you don't. And if you don't, well, the system does something to you. And we live in that type of system. It doesn't matter where you live, which country you live, which city, which state, which county. All of that's going to boil down to This is the system. This is how it's done. You don't get to say what you want to say because this is a different matter. It's the way things are. And it doesn't matter if you didn't participate or agree to it or voted on it or anything. It doesn't matter to them or to whatever it is. That system is there to control you. Now, why is this? What's the purpose of it? Don't know quite yet. I think it's for every individual that's seeking the truth is to challenge and to rebel against it, and to always seek freedom, to always seek going against the control system. And this is a hard thing to do. I mean, not many people want to do it. Not many people. Some people want to do it, but they realize they don't really want to do it because it's hard to do it. It's difficult. And some people, I would say, is they get up to it and they give into their fear and they go, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'll just be controlled. That's fine. You know, I'll seek some type of freedom somewhere, like in my mind or whatever. But I think in that way you'll never change the control systems either. So it's that weird sense of if you give in to whatever system that there is, even if there's a small part of it, and even if you know that there's a large part of it that you don't understand, you don't like for example, the system is corrupt, but people will say, but it's nice, you know, there's some benefits to it. You're going to be okay with the little bit that's okay, and a lot of it that's horrible, you're still going to be okay with it because you're okay about the small stuff that's okay. I mean, you could voice all your opinions about all the bad stuff that's going on, but you're still supporting all the bad stuff that's going on because you're okay with the little stuff that's okay, right? And that's the way the systems of control has been set up. And it's almost like a test. It's as though it's like, we could get away with this, so we'll just keep doing it. No one's doing anything about it. So, you know, it's just like bullies, right? When you're bullied at school or whatever it is, and you don't fight back, you don't stand up, you just accept that abuse, what happens? They go, well, this guy's not going to do anything, so we can just keep picking on this guy. It's like, hey, give me your lunch money. You give them their lunch money. Well, look how easy that was. All we had to do is say, give me your lunch money. Guy, give us his lunch money. So we'll just go every day to tell him, give us your lunch money, until the time where you say no, and the control or whatever it is, the bully, you know, it's another control system. It's trying to control you, for you to do things where you have no say in it. Otherwise, they're going to do something to you. And eventually, you stand up and go, no, I'm not going to give you my lunch money. So whatever happens. And so they go, well, we're going to beat you up. So they beat you up. And the next day comes and you're all beat up. It's like, they go, give me your lunch money. And you go, no. This time they beat you up, but at least you fight back a little bit and you get a punch out of it or whatever, and you go in a hospital, to the nurse, to the hospital, parents find out, etc. Things happen. So the next time they go, give us your lunch money, or it's going to be worse because you told everybody that you've been bullied, etc. And then the system talks to the bullies. The bullies go, I don't know what you're talking about. I never seen this kid. I don't know who he is. They lie and they get away with it. And you're going, wow, this system sucks. I mean, the bullies get away with it. I still get bullied. I lose my lunch money and no one does anything about it. So you take the whole thing into your own hands. And then what happens? Well, most likely you say you're able to beat up the bullies and they'll stop bothering you. Now the system comes to you where the bullies are like, they're excused. They're now the victims. It's like, dude, why are you beating up on these guys? They did nothing to you. And you're like, These guys are the bullies that have been beating me up and asking for my, or telling me to give them my lunch money for however long. And now you guys are taking their side, and you guys, what? That's exactly how the system has been set up to be. And now, I don't know how much more. There's so many more analogies we can go about this, but anyways, it's all there. It's small steps. I think that's kind of where I'm at. I have a court date on February 25th, 2020 at the Platte County court system, I guess. So we'll see how things go over there. It'll be interesting. It has to do with my debt and all this other stuff. You could look it up, actually. So that will be an interesting point, because there's a lot that I would like to say, but pretty much I just have to own up to what happened and say, hey, look, I don't have any money. I don't have any revenue stream, so I can't pay. If I did have a revenue stream, in which I did, I always paid. I paid my debts because I could. But now that I can't, well, I can't. So what is the system going to do? How does the system handle it? And how is it even? And how do I participate in it? Or am I just going to be the one that's going to give them the lunch money? Even if I don't have the lunch money, they're just gonna beat me up, type of thing, right? So it's against, again, the bully, the system that supports the bullies, against the individuals who don't want to participate in that whole concept. Well, you're just gonna have to own up to it and stand up and go, all right, give me my blows, I'll give you some of mine, let's see what happens next. Oh, it's gonna be worse the next time. Well, bring it on. And it's until people everywhere else out there, they get out of their comfort zone, they're comfortable, and that's why, it leads back to the whole idea of, well, there's a lot of stuff that's horrible out in the world, but there's some good stuff out there. I'm okay with it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, there's the people who rent things are corrupt, they're greedy, they're mean, they're horrible. Maybe they're even pedophiles. They do human sacrifices, they murder people, they torture kids, whatever it is. That's okay. I can't do anything about it. I'll just find the little parts of the system that I like, and that's fine. That, a lot of people think that way, and that's fine. It's just things aren't going to change that way. And if you are a religious person and you look up to a lot of these prophets that are in these organized religions, even them, they stood up against the systems of control. And it's funny that people who follow them do not. Okay, so we're going to go to a couple of Søren Kierkegaard quotes. Now, I didn't read a lot of any of his stuff, actually, but he comes up every time I look into these quotes of the day, and this person I looked up in the past. It was really cool stuff. And as far as what he's saying, with a lot of his quotes. And now, excuse me. The interesting thing about it is, okay, this person, Søren Kierkegaard, if you go to his, just whatever, Wikipedia, you just want to know just little outlier stuff, who he is. He's Danish. Now, he's born 1813 and he passed away at 1855. So he basically lived for about 42 years. Now, 1855, that is a long time away. As 165 years ago, right? Now, 165 years ago, just to give you a picture of what 165 years ago, in 1855. Now, let's say he was writing stuff in his 20s, so 1833. So maybe it was like 85 years ago, almost 2 centuries ago. Just how different things are. There were no cars, no airplanes. no way to communicate past messages of like handing it off, written letters and stuff like that. I mean, you could travel by horse. I think that's the fastest way you can get across anywhere if that's what they did. Right. So things were very different back then. I mean, for example, I walked from the courthouse to where my wife worked. It's the other end of Columbus. And in a car, it maybe take like 10 minutes with all the lights if you had to stop at all the red lights. It took me an hour to walk in the snow with boots. And I don't think it's more than like 2 miles or something like that. I mean, can you imagine? So things were quite different in 185 years. Now, how much was the same? Well, let's look at some quotes and let's see. You would think, okay, maybe life was worse, maybe life was better, who knows? But let's look at some of the quotes, because I mean, great thing about philosophers are they kind of dived into the same thing. They used their thinking ability, their ability to conceive of things, not just of mere material senses, but maybe a sense that they don't understand, nonsense even. You can think of it that way. It's like, I'm thinking, why would I listen to anyone who thinks about nonsense? That's just nonsense. Good stuff, right? All right. So life can be only understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And it's just kind of an abbreviation of a quote of his. The function of prayer is not to... And now, maybe I should go over in more detail. So life can be understood backwards, but must be lived forward. So we can understand how things were, how they've changed to be, how things became current or present, right? And so if you want to understand how things came to be, you have to go back. You have to go backwards. You have to look and see, okay, this happened. Why did this happen? Let's go back a little bit more. Okay, this is kind of the motivation of why it happened, and all this other stuff. And then as far as when it happened and if it happened to you, you know, how it changed you, how it changed everything else. But, I mean, if at that point you understand it, that's one thing, but you still have to live your life. And if you are, no matter what, if you even understand what happened in the past, and you just keep living the same way, even with that understanding, nothing's going to change. You're not really living. You're just kind of in some type of stasis. You're just stagnant. I mean, what's the point of living if all you do is the same thing day after day after day? Isn't that what most people do these days? Anyways, that's the whole idea. You can understand how things are if you get to that point, but you still have to live with that understanding. And if you don't live, I guess, differently with that understanding, well, you're not really living anymore. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. Yeah, I always thought prayer was always a funny thing. But anyways, people demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. Yes, that is so great. Again, about 185, almost 2 centuries, 185 years to 165 years, 2 centuries worth of time difference between us right now. You're watching me or you're listening to me live. Søren Kierkegaard writes, people demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. People don't think of things. I mean, they'll refuse to think of things because society is one the whole peer pressure. It's like, I don't want people to think ill of me because of me, the way of the thoughts that I think. right? So I won't say I won't say anything about those thoughts. And that's not freedom of speech. Yeah, okay, I have the freedom to say it, but I'm not going to, because those thoughts, right, are not being expressed because of reasons. Now, there are seldom thoughts that I will refuse to talk about. Because if you can't talk about it, you can't move on from it, right? You can't reach a decision as to, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't do this, or maybe we should do this instead, or maybe we should do that, but in a different type of way, or whatever. Basically, if you don't say anything, how do you know? Or communicate. Let's just say communicate is a better term. How that understand what someone else might want or need, what you might want or need from someone else, etc. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. I think I need to read more about that in context. Are you anxious when you're free? I don't know. Kind of. Because you don't know what's going to happen next. Or you actually know what's going to happen next. You have an idea. But not necessarily do you know 100%. You're hoping things will change. But, they probably won't. Because you have an idea of... You don't want your neighbors and strangers to be your enemies. But it always ends up that no matter how optimistic you are about other people, they tend to disappoint. Let's just say that. So when they disappoint, and you're optimistic that they won't disappoint, that you have some hope in humanity and others and stuff like that. Well, when they do disappoint, I guess there's nothing you could do about that, right? You can just kind of accept that disappointment and, I don't know, I hope to change it. But I don't know about the whole anxiety stuff. People understand. Now, this is a good one right here. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. I think that is just spot on, perfect. Again, 2 centuries ago, this is current now. There's critics, whatever. Someone maybe doesn't want to associate me. Maybe they don't want to. If I apply for a job, they don't want to hire me. Or if I get into a conversation about a subject and I say what I want to say because I've done my research, I've thought about it, all of this other stuff, and they just don't. They complain about me or they ridicule me, whatever it is, and they don't understand me. And my complaint is, well, they don't even understand that the whole idea that it's like, why are you ridiculing me? Why are you antagonistic against me? Is like, look, I'm telling you, here's the best way that I put it. When I talk about or dive into anything, there's always somewhat of an official statement, official narrative, official story, right? Usually it has to do with a government agency and a corporate entity or whatever it is. There's an official statement made, a story, and basically what I do is I look at that official statement, official story, and I do a search on .gov, .edu, mainstream media, whatever. They're usually where they tell everyone who wants to look into it what the official side of the story, the official statement is. And then, well, typically either bad researchers, bad journalists, bad conspiracy theorists, I guess. I don't know. They won't even look into that. They're just going to go and create their own scenario and try to make pieces fit. Well, all I do is I just say, hey, this is the official statement. Kind of contradicts something over here, which is another official statement. So, or the idea that this is what's going on, and they are saying that this is what's going on, but then this side that reports on it says, well, these people over here, are crazy. It's like, no, these people are over here just saying, hey, there's something not right here because the official statement doesn't add up. So it's this whole circle, and it's meant to confuse and all this other stuff. And for me, it's like, look, I'm just telling you what the official statement is. Whether you believe it or not is up to you, but they're telling you what it is. And these conspiracy theorists are saying, yeah, it's a conspiracy. I mean, they're obviously lying because look, 2 and 2 don't add up to 4. Why is it 5? And everyone else, well, they'll read these little mainstream air or maybe even alternative media, whatever, and they'll go, well, look, these guys are just conspiracy theorists, right? Why would you not believe the government? Why would you not believe this organization? Look at how much they donate to whatever. Look at all the good that they do. Don't mind all the bad that they do. And it's funny because when it's the system and the systems of control and those that support the system and that run it, they can do years, decades, lifetime of just corrupted, bad things. But all these little things that they do that are good, they just spin all that. Look at all that good stuff that they've done. Don't worry about all the bad stuff. That's just nonsense. There's no proof, even though there's proof. And then you get to the point of someone who's serving the system, whether it's a military person, a police officer, fireman, whatever. They have, like, say, 10, 20, 30 years of good service. They were actually doing good stuff and following orders, even if those orders were bad. But they make one mistake, one thing that's not so good. And it doesn't matter if you had 30 years of good service, whatever. That one moment, whether it was 1 minute, 5 minutes of your life, that was a mistake and you knew it and you owned up to it. You are done. That one blemish ends your career. The system wants nothing to do with you. And it's flipped. It's upside down. There's really no justice out there. It's just the system of control and the ones they control. You either have to fight it or you're just going to be a part of it and you accept it. And when you accept it, well, you're accepting a lot of horrible stuff out there, I'm telling you. Let's see, Kathy B. Me too, bad lawyers, judges. Yeah. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. Yeah, I mean, if you think of life as like trying to find a way to not die, you're gonna miss the whole point of living. And let's say, and I love taking the opposite approach, right? And before I get back to this, I like to think of things as, okay, let's say the official narrative is true. I guess we're living in, this is what we're experiencing. So I go, okay, let's say NASA landed on the moon 5 out of 5 times. They went there, 9 times total. They landed 5 times. No one died on their way to the moon and back. It was Earth is a globe. It's round, and Earth is spinning and orbiting the sun, and the moon is orbiting the Earth, and it's always facing the Earth. And let's say that's fine, right? So I'm like, okay, hopefully I can get to space one day, fly. I want to be like Firefly, when Serenity, the shows like go out in space, travel, do my own thing, go out and not just stay away from the systems of control and corruption and greed and all this power mongers and all that stuff. Just do my own thing, enjoy the places I want to go, basically be free. Like, I want to do that. I mean, it's been what, 50 years or so since anyone's been to the moon. You would think half a century since like a plane has been invented that's someone flew in a plane somewhere. Just like an average person, just like say, 50 years from when the first computer was available. You would think that someone, just an ordinary person, could purchase a computer and play on it. And you could think of almost any invention after half a century, just an ordinary individual is able to do what they want with it. Now, when it gets into the whole outer space type of thing, half a century goes by, not even the professionals are able to go back up there to the moon and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, so that's part of it. And it's like, I can't wait. I mean, they're going to the Mars. That's what they're saying. They're going to go back to the moon. They're going to go to Mars. They're going to transform Mars into like Earth, a habitable planet and stuff like that. And I go, okay, that'd be awesome. So when does that start? Can we sign up? I mean, remember they had that reality TV show, that company that was saying, hey, there's a one-way trip to Mars so we can colonize Mars. Who wants to go? We'll have a reality show to fund it and stuff like that. And of course, they went bankrupt and all this other stuff. People were lined up and ready to go. It's not going to happen. I mean, if they keep saying, hey, yeah, we're going to colonize Mars by 2200 or something like that. Well, if they're going to colonize Mars by 2200, hopefully they can get up someone to Mars and do stuff, because it's going to take a long while for things to change. And they go, oh, I meant like actually get someone onto Mars and start a process or something like that. I was like, well, okay, 2200 goes by. What happens is they're always moving the goal post, whatever, right? It's like, oh, it's just going to be 5-10 years down the line. Oh no, 5-10 years down the line. Oh, no, sorry. It's going to be 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Okay, 10, 20, 30 years go by. 50 to 60 to 70 years. These things take time. It's like, wow, right? Any other person, any other organization, any other corporation, they would just be gone, out, done. It's like they expect you to be on time for work, to meet your deadlines for work, not just, because money depends on it, people depend on it, there's all these things that are involved, whatever. Now, there seems to be an exception to a certain organization or an agency or whatever it is, corporation. It's like, it doesn't matter what they do. It seems like nothing happens to them. I mean, they lost say NASA lost their telemetry data. They lost all their original tapes. They lost the ability to recreate the rockets to go up into space and travel to the moon. I mean, they seem to have lost a lot of stuff, and nothing. And instead of like dismantling it or creating something better out of it, starting from scratch, because look, if you can't do any of the stuff that you did 50 years ago, why are you still around? And so that's, I think of it as that point. Now, when I think of, let's say NASA didn't land on the moon, that it was faked. Let's say that the Earth is flat and not necessarily a globe. So what of that? Now people just keep looking at flat Earth. This is flat Earth proof that globe Earth lies, etc. I'm already past that. What I want to know is, okay, if all of that isn't true, so why is it so important that they keep up with the lie for half a century, and that they keep going on about the lie, and these governments keep going about, keep funding that lie. They should probably know the truth, and that there's all these other organizations that are involved that want to hide that from the public, and there's a lot of propaganda that they push in all forms, and commercials and TV shows and movies and whatever, that the earth is a globe. When you just want to see just control, like all the technology is there. You can have cameras that could go, you could point it anywhere. They have, you look in the photos of NASA with the astronauts who are so-called photographers or hobbyists for photography hobbyists, whatever you want to call it, take hundreds and thousands of pictures. You only see the same photographs all the time. They never show you, I mean, with all those expensive cameras that they have, they don't show you anything different. They just show you the same thing on Earth. They don't show you things that are like real-time events that they say, Australian fires or solar or lunar eclipses and things like that from the ISS perspective, and the scientific experiments, research that they must be doing up there. That's instead they just have interviews with astronauts, things like that. They don't photo, they don't video, they don't do, which, I mean, even people who are not tech savvy are able to do these things in their own basement or house or room, whatever. Some people just drive around in that car and, just turn their little camera around and go, hey, look at that. That's kind of cool. That's interesting. We never see this from the systems of control to us. It's, again, one way communication. We can't even talk to them. They won't even come and do just a conversation. You have to be part of that system. And so that's why there's a lot of distrust whenever you see someone who's talking to them. It's like, hey, you're finally talking to him. Yay. And then you see the entire thing happen. And it's like, wait, why aren't you talking about this? This is, or that. Why aren't you asking this? Why aren't you talking about that? It's like, what's going on? I thought you were like the truther or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't think so. There are rules in place. If you want something, you're gonna have to follow the rules. If not, well, I'm sorry, you are out. So that's kind of how it is. So life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. So the idea of, spending all your time on the problems of life rather than just living the life and trying to just live your life. It's like, basically, there are those that tell you how you should live your life. You need to do this. You have to do this. If you don't do this, this happens to you, or this happens to you. It's like, dude, I just want to live my life. Why are you telling me how to live my life? I'm not a slave. They're going, no, you're not a slave. You just have to do this. It's like, that's what slavery is. No, that's not what slavery is. Slavery is like, I own you. It's like, I don't own you. It's like, good. So I'm just going to do my own thing and be on my way. It's like, no, you're going to have to do this. I'm sorry. Or they won't even say, I'm sorry. And you're like, I don't think you understand what the concept of owning someone or not is. It's like, yes, I do. Look, we don't have shackles on you. We don't pay you nothing. You're not a slave. You can do whatever you want. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to leave now. It's like, no, you have to do this first before you leave. It's like, look. All right. So that's the reality. That's to be experienced. And you're going to find that, well, that's weird. I mean, it's not going to be solved, but let's see where it goes with this, because this is really interesting here. And you really have to experience all of that, because if it happens to someone else, you don't know the context of all of that, but you do know how what you have done, what you can do, what you can't do, and then what they're able to do, and you're going, well, they should be able to do that. Otherwise, why can't I do the same thing? Well, you're going to find that the systems of control can do things, but you can't do things because it doesn't apply to you. It applies to the system and those who are within it. So it's anytime you go up against the system and you say, hey, I thought we're like, if you're American, you live in the United States, it's like, I thought I was free. I thought there's a thing called the Constitution. I thought I had rights and all this other stuff. They don't tell you. They don't care in some sense. They don't regard that as truth. They go, this is how it is. You do it. Then that's it. There's no other recourse. So until you take the stand and say, no, that is not the way it works, I will not do it, and then they're going to force something upon you. That's just the way it's going to happen. And you just have to wait for that moment, and let that happen, let that play out, and then see where it goes from that. You can't fight it prematurely, because all of that stuff is based upon stories, what others say, so you don't know if it's true or not, and you don't know whether they will actually apply whatever force or control measures until you actually stand up, because they don't expect anyone to stand up to their control system. Otherwise, they would not be in control, right? So, and then they also have to make examples of those that do stand up to power and authority and stuff like that. It doesn't, and that's where you will know the true measure of someone and the system and whatever. Is you stand up and go, this is not right. Even so, what you understand of the system, that this is not supposed to happen, and this is happening. So I would like an explanation, please. And they go, we don't have to explain to you. And you go, well, that's a very totalitarian or authoritarian point of view. I thought we didn't live in that type of society or state or country or whatever. I would say country. And they're going to say something very authoritarian back. Hi, Jinx Jackson. Yeah, I kind of go a lot of different places. Anyways, and that's the thing, is a lot of people, a lot of truthers, a lot of the what do you call it? People, I even regard myself as one, but the people who don't want government or just to govern themselves, right? They say, look, just stop participating in this with the system. And that's all well and good, but the system won't allow you to not participate because they have a system of control and they control you. And so if you don't participate, well, they're going to control you to tell you that you're going to need to participate. And you go, well, I'm not participating. So in order to not participate, you're going to have to tell me to not participate so I can tell you that I'm not participating. And therefore they will subject force onto you. And then of course you can do something, because in any context, if it's an individual versus an individual, that's, just a person who is controlled against another person who is controlled, just like you and me, whatever. If I do the same thing to you, or you do the same thing to me that the system of control does to you or does to me, well, we would definitely have an issue, and that issue would be resolved in some type of conversation or settlement or something like that, right? And whether two adults, something, or someone else gets involved, someone close, like say person A tries to rape person B, person B fights back and says, no, I don't want to be raped. Well, it doesn't. Person A says it doesn't matter, it's gonna happen anyway. Person B goes, no, it's not, and then person A just shoots person B. Person B escapes. It's like, well, now person B has a whole bunch of people that want to kill person A, and that's gonna be a thing that would be like, a lot of people will say person A deserved it. I mean, person B didn't do anything to deserve being raped or being shot at, possibly killed. Person B just wants to be protected and have person A leave them alone. Well, if you put person A as control system A and just person B, well, control system, no one's going to do anything to control system A, because they go, well, that's control system, we can't do anything about that, I'm sorry. Until there are people who go, we're not going to treat control system A any different than if it was person A. Yeah, they may have these guards and police officers or whatever, but still, control system A shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. And if that's the system where we want to follow, well, we're either going to be okay with that or too scared to do anything about it or whatever. So people seem to always regard, I mean, I know a lot of people who complain that corporations are not people. People are people. Yet when corporations or government entities or government agencies or whatever do things that people do, they don't do the same thing back to those systems or organizations or corporations that people would do to if they were just ordinary people. So they are not people. Yeah, there's something that something more than that. They are a control system, because you're not going to do anything against these control system agencies and corporations, what have you, until you get to a certain point, that is. And there's not going to be a lot of people that get to that point. All right, so the most common form of despair is not being who you are. I agree with that. I mean, I think the biggest problem with me has been, well, I grew up poor, and I grew up in order for me to, let's see, like if I was trying to find a girlfriend in the past, someone to date, I won't say, yeah, I work as a security concierge or something like that, or an airport, whatever thing, and try to impress a girl with that, right? So it's not really me being me trying to meet someone. It's like trying to be someone more impressive, I guess you could say, that what I would consider someone who might be interested in me as being impressed by, or something like that. So I would try to make things a little bit more polished, I guess, but not necessarily being just who I am. It's like, oh yeah. Like for me, I'd be like, I don't care. It's a job. It sucks. You know, it's like you know, there's not much I can do. I play some video games, and you know, I can go to movies. I mostly read books. You know, I have a couple of dogs that I love to play around with. It's like, you know, if I did that, it's like, I think I would have probably had better dates. But then, most of society and the culture and stuff like that has always been about, you know, you gotta be impressive. You gotta impress the girls, ladies, whatever, and all this other stuff, which is bad advice. I think it was horrible advice, and but I didn't know that because I didn't have anyone to really tell me how things worked very well in that regard. But I have seen people where I've met throughout my life who were able to pick up whoever they wanted like that, and to me they didn't look very like like super handsome. Like I didn't know what it was that girls saw in them, but it was confidence. I mean, they had the same job as me, same position, same thing, you know, same stint, same type of background, whatever. And it's like, I don't know how you do it. And I talk with them, and they go, well, you just have to be confident, just, and all this other stuff. And I was like, mind was blown. And I think it's not just about confidence. I think it's just about just being grounded on who you are, and that you're okay with it, and that there are things that you truly do want to be better at, but it's not to impress someone, right? It's to actually be better, not be better for an ulterior motive than just the idea of being better at something, right? For example, I want to be better at a video game. I want to be better at a video game because I just want to be as good as I can at something that I do. Now, if I wanted to be better at a video game because there's a tournament coming up and there's $1,000 or $10,000 associated with it, then that the idea of being better at something that is going to be different because there's a motive behind it. There's something else to it than just the idea of being better with it. So it's just kind of like that in life. Do you want to be a better person? Why do you want to be a better person? It's like, is there some motive behind it? Is it something personal? Is it something that you foresee is something that's maybe selfish, maybe that's altruistic, whatever it is? But is it to impress others? Is it to whatever? And a lot of the time, the people who want to become better, and they don't really care what people think. It's like you see them out there. It's like, really, why are you wearing that stuff? I mean, why don't you do this inside your home where people can't see it? It's like, no, it's not about that. It's about the end goal. You know, I don't care what people think of me while I do this. It's like, I just want to be able to do this so I reach that end goal, because that end goal makes me feel better. I feel like I've accomplished something that I wanted to accomplish. That sometimes it might be you just want to do something because people tell you can't do it, so you want to prove them wrong. Maybe it's just people in general. Maybe it's someone close to you, like your father, your mother, your friends, your whatever. And you just want like a level of self-respect. But then what's funny about that is sometimes you go and if you do that trying to get self-respect, you're not going to get self-respect by others respecting you. The whole concept of self-respect is you respecting yourself. So what's funny is eventually you understand that by doing all of that, you're going to respect yourself, because you realized, hey, I'm doing this. No one else is doing this. They say they can, but they don't. But I'm saying, and they say I can't, but I'm going to. And it's like, heck, that's like the biggest self-respect boost I can think of. And so anyways, kind of cool stuff when you just think of everything. All right, so this is the first one that I read. It's just a little bit more expanded. It is perfectly true, as Philosophers say that life must be understood backwards, but they forget the other proposition that must be lived forwards. So, oh, this is another one that I noticed. Oh, that's been going on for an hour. So I might end the live stream because I'm getting thirsty. And I need to wake up early tomorrow because my daughter has a lot of things going on tomorrow. All right, so the greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly in the world as if it were nothing at all. No other loss can occur so quietly. Any other loss, an arm, a leg, $5, a wife, etc., is sure to be noticed. What labels me negates me. We see that all the time too. People want to stick a label on something so they can find a way to discredit you in some form or fashion. Anything, whether it's politics, left, right, who you voted for, who you didn't vote for. Did you even vote? You didn't vote. Do you support this? Are you against that? Whatever. Any type of label, whether they box you into one little neat package, they can say anything about the package, and because you are part of that package, that relates to you. Therefore, it negates your entirety. You are not just that you are a Democrat. What is a Democrat? Can someone tell me that person is a Democrat? What can you tell me about that person? I don't think so. You could say, hey, that person is gay. What can you tell me about that gay person? All you can say is that he's gay, but right. So they're like, but what they will say, I can tell you about gay people. Okay, so tell me about gay people. Anyways. They can generalize and because of the label, but that just kind of dissipates the whole idea of the individual. And we're seeing that today, and I guess this person saw it 185 years ago, or almost 2 centuries ago. I see it all perfectly. There are two possible situations. One can either do this or that. My honest opinion and my friendly advice is this: do it or do not. You will regret both. I think he was kind of a pessimist. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. Yeah, I guess. I think the older you get, you're not going to really dream of the future all too much, right? When you're young, yeah, I think you do, because the idea is you got your whole life ahead of you, except the life in this system is study, work, don't take chances, work, be stable, work. And then when you reach your dreams, work. You want to do what you want, and then you're going to realize you can't, and you're going to have to work. All the lottery winners, or people who became wealthy or rich, even sports people and stuff like that, or singers, songwriters, whatever, artists, they'll reach that area where they become super rich and stuff like that, and they go, well, is art your passion, or are you using art for some other form of something that you get, whether it's adoration from fame or money for being because of the stuff that it gets. So it's like, well, I want to try this new album out. Say you're a singer, but the publisher, whatever recording agency, and the fans, they go, no, we don't want you to change too much because we love the type of music you're already doing. So we don't want you to do it. It's like, well, I'm the singer, I'm the artist, I do what I want. I create the artwork. You either enjoy it or you don't. That's what would be most of the artists and singers and whatever. But then if they're motivated by fame or money or whatever it is, or hooking up with whatever the lifestyle, whatever it is, that then that's just a means to get at what they want, and therefore they're no longer really an artist or a singer. They're just the person that uses that to get something else. So it's I don't know. A lot of things is I don't know. As much as I found out about a lot of things, I still don't know, and a lot of it is I do connect a couple of things. I'm not at that point yet where I understand everything or anything or know, or I figured out the whole truth. It's like, God, if it was that easy. It's not. But I have to keep looking because I won't know. And, there are certain times where I go, well, this is what I know. This is what I've researched. Does it correlate at all? If it doesn't correlate, well, it looks like it doesn't work. I'm not going to totally disregard it, but as far as like what I experienced, well, I don't find any need for it. It's not useful to me. It's like reading a travel brochure, and you finally get to the destination, and you go, well, that travel brochure is nothing like what I experienced. And it's like, when someone tells you, when someone looks at that travel brochure and goes, man, this looks awesome, I think I want to go here. And you go, well, I read that travel brochure and I went to that place. It was nothing like that travel brochure said. And they're going to go, oh, so tell me about it. If they're really interested in going, wanting to know from a different perspective. But if they just look at the travel brochure and goes, no, I'm sure you did something wrong. I'm sure the travel brochure is right. And then they go, and then it'd be awesome to take notes, talk to someone, okay, I'm glad you went. So was your time there like the travel brochure said? Most likely, they're always going to say yes for some reason. But if they're being honest and truthful, they're going to say no. And they go, okay, so what was so different? And they're going to say it. And you're going to go, yeah, that was my experience too. Do you think something happened? Did the travel brochure is lying because they probably just want you to travel there. It's like, oh, yeah, duh. Excuse me. The Bible is very easy to understand, but we Christians are a bunch of scheming swindlers. We pretend to be unable to understand it because we know very well that the minute we understand it, we are obliged to act accordingly. Very well. That's very good. This is calling a lot of so-called Christians hypocrites, which we do see that almost 2 centuries later. In addition to my other numerous acquaintances, I have one more intimate confidant. My depression is the most faithful mistress I have known. No wonder then that I return to love. He must have been one depressed fella. What is a poet? An unhappy man who hides deep anguish in his heart, but whose lips are so formed that when a sigh and cry pass through them, it sounds like lovely music. This guy is a good poet, and very good with his words. And people flock around the poet and say, sing again soon, that is, may new sufferings torment your soul, but your lips be fashioned as before, for the cry would only frighten us, but the music that is blissful. I gotta read some of this guy's work. That's pretty good. Anyways, I'm just gonna see if there's anything else on this page, because I'm starting to get like very throaty from phlegm or whatever it is. Interesting. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. Hmm. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Hmm. Anyways, so that's it. I think the concept of this Maya, the veil, the illusion, whatever you want to call it, it's not a. It's not like it's all of a sudden things just appear different visually, because you're not gonna sense the illusion, the veil, with your material senses. It's not, you're not going to see it, you're not going to hear it, you're not going to taste it, you're not going to smell it, you're not going to whatever. It's not going to be in that sense. Thanks, Kathy. It's not going to be in that sense where you're gonna see that illusion. The illusions, you can. It's all about, think about it this way, thoughts. If you think about how things are, if you think about whether you use logic or some creative analogy, whatever it is, if you just use your thought processes, and it's not a material thing, it's something else. If you just think of it, you'll realize that something is not right. Something doesn't add up. You look at it. I was watching, like, me and my wife, we watched pretty much all the shows that we like. We have to find something else, but I showed her something funny that I liked. It's Run Tom Run. It's like a Tom Cruise running 2020, but it's by an actor who does a good impression of Tom Cruise, and he's running because I know that Tom Cruise and a lot of people who are moviegoers, Tom Cruise likes to run in his movies. They even have running montages of Tom Cruise if you look up YouTube, and a lot of videos of things. So that gave her a laugh. She enjoyed the whole thing. But there's this one where they actually go to the location of where Tom is running in that particular movie. Now, in certain movies, just like any movie, in certain movies, is they'll have a scene. Okay, they have this actor and they're in this setting, and it kind of looks like it would be in that place. You know, they say like Belfast, or they'll say Washington D.C. or something like that. But where they're shooting is in a different location. Like, instead of Belfast, they're like in California. Instead of Washington D.C., they're like in Vancouver, right? So people, that's the whole illusion. People think, oh, I'm saying that it's written down that it's this place, and so you assume that the setting is that place. But in reality, no, it's not the case at all. So it's easy to be fooled or tricked because you're involved and go, why should I take it as any different? Because that would just kind of ruin the experience. Obviously, that they're not going to do everything in the location that's said. That'd be difficult, costly. It would disrupt the flow of certain things of people who live in that area, whatever. But I mean, it's as simple as that. It's just being tricked, and the illusion that's set up is like they don't have to try that hard, and you're not gonna see it because the illusion is there to make it appear very, very much like it is, right? I mean, and it gets better. I mean, that's the whole point, is get better at the trick, at the illusion. But something's going to be tickling the back of your neck or whatever it is. You got this gut feeling. It's like, something about that just ain't right. I don't know what it is. Just something's not right. And so with that hunch, you're going, all right, let's look at that again. Or all right, how about freeze it? Wait. let's pan it over. Like, yeah, that looks right, but maybe it could be like a green screen or something like that. It's superimposed. So let's look at the actual setting, and if there's any like photographs or videos, and you do, and it's like, that's weird. It's nothing like what's shown in that movie. Nobody special. The veil is a filter. Anyways, the veil is something you can easily pierce, look past, and it's not a looking. It's just a thought, or you have to use something that's not physically based to start off figuring out that it is, an illusion, something that's not true. And you won't be able to, the way that we're conditioned is a good word. Brainwashed is another, I guess you could say, is we're always conditioned to trust authority, to trust those who are in control, that trust that those who are in control know what they're doing, and that they're not lying and stuff like that. But we end up finding, once you actually feel or think about the situation, you realize, that's not really true. More thinking, more feeling has to be done. Now, how do we interact with this control, this conditioning, this brainwashing? Is eventually, it doesn't matter as much as the brainwashing and the conditioning, they'll just turn it up, right? They'll just go, let's do more of it. Let's make it more powerful. Let's condense it, whatever. It's once you've seen it, once you know the trick, it's done, right? It's like it won't work on you, even if you wanted to, even if you wanted it to work. You want to take that blue pill or whatever it is, red pill. I don't know. It's like watching a movie with the twist in it, right? If you you can't watch it again with that same reaction. It's like, wow, that was a good twist. And the next time you see it, it's like, I already know the twist. And you're just looking for all the other details you might have missed leading up to that twist if it was a really good movie. And no matter how many times, it's like, man, I wish I could forget so I could remember, or I wish I could forget so I can experience that whole twist occurring. Well, I mean, people have made allegories to that with the entire existence of life and stuff like that. So that's an interesting concept too. But anyways, I'll keep it there. You're going to see a lot of connections. And again, most people call them coincidences. You could call them synchronicities. But all I would say is, what is your experience? Does it relate? Is there a connection there? If there's not, well, just kind of let it go. Keep going. What you want to do is get closer to the source, get closer to truth. The truth is pretty much expansive. The whole concept of one truth is going to apply to all things in life, death, the grand scale, the small scale, whatever it is. And once you do that, well, you know what the illusion was. You know what the trick was. Someone does a magic trick. You know how they do the magic trick. Well, it's not magic to you anymore, is it? No. You know the truth. You know it's just an illusion. So it's the same idea, same concept. And maybe a comedian did a quote of it before, or something like that, something similar. But they said that, or maybe it's something I came up with. I don't know. But basically, you go to, magic doesn't exist, or you're taught, you're conditioned, you're brainwashed to believe magic doesn't exist. Yet when you go to a magic trick and you know that they're performing illusions, that they're lying to you, you're paying them money, and you know that they're going to be lying to you and making you believe in something that doesn't exist. And think of the systems of control. They understand that. They go, that's a good idea. We'll have people pay us to lie to them, to make illusions to them, because they want to believe in it so much. And here we are today. And I think Søren Kierkegaard, just about 2 centuries ago, understood the same concept. All right, thank you, everybody. Nobody Special and Kathy B and Jinx Jackson for you guys who chatted. And I think you guys might be my only viewers. Oh, just 5 people watching. All right. Anyways, have a good night. Have a good weekend. And I'll see y'all pretty soon.